Hi, this is Eternal King here bringing you another LOR video today. So I wanted to do a follow-up on my, essentials beginner's guide to the Eternal format that I thought would be helpful. So before we talked about auto includes, cards that have to be in decks to essentially make them playable for the archetype that you're trying to construct. Now we're going to talk about auto teched matchups. So essentially there are matchups in LOR that represent the best decks in Eternal that you need to be able to beat in some capacity. And if you can't beat them in some capacity, you don't get to play the format. So what are those decks? The first two bare minimum decks are upgraded Ziggs Poppy, also known as Ziggs Vex. I consider this version consistently better than old Ziggs Poppy because for the simple reason that there are, if you remove Poppy before he swings, there's no value because it's a vanilla 3/3 champion for 4 mana. It's slightly understated. So I've just played enough Eternal that I think that the Poppy is always going to get answered on 4 and not do anything and actually be a massive tempo loss for you. Alternatively, a 5/4 Fearsome is never getting answered on curve. It would basically not happen because the difference between 3 life and 4 life is massive. In LOR as a card game, if you don't know that, it's just something that you need to be aware of. Also, the fact that it's fearsome means that it occasionally is able to push full value or demand an answer from your opponent. So overall, a very good card. And again, Ziggs being on 3, being the exact same thing as Vex. Vex being a 5/4 with Fearsome that pings something, Ziggs being a 3/4 vanilla that pings something on attack. This is just brutal. In terms of an aggro deck, it's everything you want from a tempo perspective. Then obviously your typical Ziggs Poppy, 1-drop Spam Shell, Beard the Bellringer, Gloom Sprites, Legion Rearguard, and Legion Saboteur. All 4 ofs. This is like mandatory Ziggs Poppy stuff. And then because we're not as worried about going wide, I prefer Legion Grenadier, Demolitionist, Stone Stackers, and Pokestick. All of them push burn. One Brothers Bond to essentially do the Poppy thing, but like do it at burst speed. So it's generally better. So I like the one Brothers Bond just to boost our board if we need to. As a one of. Only one. You don't want more than one. Vandal City Mayor, cycling into stupid stuff, Nox and Fervors you burn, and then Decimate you burn. So very straightforward deck. It is one of the most powerful in LOR, and I know I called this low tier Eternal, but I'm confident enough now that I'm going to call this high tier Eternal. It is just a straightforward upgrade over Ziggs Poppy in most situations. So very powerful deck. Upgraded Ziggs Poppy. It's a deck that I have a lot of experience with, having climbed to top 100 in Eternal before, and I'm confident that this one switch here, all the rest of this is more or less the same, but what you do is you swap out House Spider for Legion Grenadier, and then you swap out Poppy for Vex. That's kind of what you're doing in terms of the ratioing of this deck, and it turns out that for most situations it's just better. Pro players have a very hard time of dealing with the exact lineup of Ziggs than Poppy. I mean Ziggs than Vex. It's just nasty tempo. Obviously, then you have your 1-drop, your 2-drop, etc. Is it unstoppable? No. Again, a House Spider would be a great counter to something like this. Just like any sort of 2-body wide solution for 2 mana is going to be good. And then obviously the other deck that you have to beat, they're called like, for example, I'm playing some Overwatch 2. I'm really bad at that game. I'm terrible at it. But there's a lot of, like, gatekeeping in Overwatch in terms of, like, certain champions and certain team constructions and certain tactics that you essentially have to be able to deal with or you don't get to play the game. And similarly, in LOR, there are certain champions and there are certain deck constructions that you have to be able to beat to play Eternal as a format. And if you can't beat them consistently or have a matchup into them, you essentially don't get to play the game. Now there are very specific exceptions to this that I'll outline, but for the most part, it's accurate. So again, very 1-drop spam heavy, Treasure Seeker, Sparring Student, Forsaken Bakai, 1 Dune Keeper because it's synergistic, but you don't want more than 1 generally speaking. You'd just rather have, like, Sparring Student, Forsaken Bakai, Treasure Seeker. Treasure Seeker gives you Sandstone Charger, so it's basically a cycle 1-drop, which is very powerful. This is a draw fixing 1-drop, which is very powerful. And this is your Snowball 1-drop, which is very powerful. And then one Go Wide 1-drop. Then you have your, of course, your landmarks, Emperor's Dais, Emperor's Army. Green Glade Duo to, potentially push for elusive lethal in very specific situations. Typically, I'm not that hardcore into the elusive win con in Azir Aurelia, but some people are. Some people really play for that. Ribbon Dancer for the rally effect. Desert's Wrath to boost all your Sand Soldiers. Domination to boost all your tokens. Aurelia for Blade Dancing. And then obviously Blossoming Blade and Defiant Dance. Defiant Dance is your one reactive card, or your opponent plays something big that needs to not be on the board anymore, then you bounce it and get a free rally out of it. And then Blossoming Blade just being essentially a Ribbon Dancer for 5. All of this is just like mandatory. You must be this good to pass in the format. So those are the two big decks. And then the third big deck, which is generally speaking more new player friendly, is going to be Eddy. So again, some sort of Eddy Heisho spam is very new player friendly for the most part. There are going to be constructions of Eddy that are more competitive than others, but it really is just Spectral Matron, right, with one Eddy. Spectral, one Eddy. And then you have Heisho. And then you have the rest of your deck, right? So like this is standard Eddy Heisho Matron spam. Obviously, this is the third most powerful deck in the game, because this combo essentially allows you to cheat out 30 mana sometimes of a combo. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like 30 mana with ramp to get there faster, whether it is the Mobilize or whether it is Cloud Drake, or it's just like standard Freljord ramp stuff. Right, this, and then probably you're probably on this as well, so just like this, and then that's one of the top tier decks. So those are like the three top tier decks. Is you have your aggro deck, which is upgraded Ziggs Poppy. You have old school Elder Dragon Heisho spam, definitely an older deck that is not going anywhere in terms of its power. And then you have upgraded Azir Aurelia, which is all about Emperor's Army. So those two decks have seen revisions with the latest expansion, but then Eddy is just Eddy, and ever since he was released, it's basically just doing Eddy stuff. That hasn't changed much. Tech cards, lots of different tech cards you can include. I think more competitive versions of Eddy tend to run a lot of redundant healing, and then a very high top end after you ramp successfully. And that's mostly the deck. It's just like healing, ramp, and then your big combo with whatever it is you want to do. It could be like triple Buried Ice off of a Heisho. So you play like Spectral Matron Heisho, and then you play Heisho, and then you play Buried Ice or something like that. Like it's really nasty stuff that you can do, these combos. And then you can decide whether you also want the Ithit Stairs in the deck as well. So it's like basic standard ramp, win condition, Eddy, Heisho spam stuff. Like this already looks good, and then you just figure out what your value top end is, because it can literally be anything. It can absolutely be anything in terms of the cards that you want to run. Right, Trundle for more sustain, usually like Volibear, right? So it could be like triple Volibear, 1-2 Trundle or something. Like that would work. That would be a lot of sustain, because your opponent starts aggroing you out. You jam Tavern Keeper on 3. Usually you're ramping first, but you might be jamming a Tavern Keeper at some point, ramping, playing the Trundle, sustaining, and then playing out your big Matron Heisho spam combo wombo nonsense. That is exceptionally powerful, essentially allowing me to go like 40-40 wide and get like 30 extra mana, and potentially also board clear the opponent all at the same time. It's a really nasty combo. Very powerful. So that's the third most competitive deck. You have to have matchups into all three of these decks to play Eternal. Period, full stop. And it's really tough, because it's like, okay, either the opponent's going to go big on you, they're going to go aggro on you and burn you out, or they're going to go combo, rally, token spam, on you. And like all of those things are very hard to deal with, I understand. But you have to. You at least have to have matchups into the first two, and then the Eddy is sort of optional, but you at least have, I would say also the Eddy. You have to be aware of all three matchups. This one is super noob friendly. You're going to see a lot of Elder Dragon, Heisho spam, very noob friendly. Anyone can do it. The combo is exceptionally simple. And you essentially just go bigger than your opponent to win, and you don't need to be as worried about reactive plays. Winning with aggro, winning with Azirarelia, a little more complicated. But yeah, those are the three best decks in the game. And if you want to have a matchup into any of them, there are certain bars that you have to meet to play the video game. First bar is reactive cards. Anyone who's played Eternal before knows the value of pings. You need to run pings and cheap removal in your deck to play the video game, for the most part. You just have to. So again, pings, chumper spam, hard removal. That's kind of the template for how to build a good deck. And in fact, I will show you the top trending deck in Eternal right now that someone just built out. And it is Caitlyn Kindred. And I think his name is Malagos. I don't know him personally, but I will run through his list very quickly just by memory, and I'll talk about all the things that he's doing right and why you should learn from him in terms of building for the format. So first thing is the removal package, right? So triple vengeance, you snap that. That's auto include. Next up, P and Z pings that you need to snap. It is the Mystic Shot that we talked about. So you're auto snapping Mystic. He even runs 2 high notes, so I'm going to put that in since I already saw it. So you're snapping this stuff, and then you're also snapping the 3 mana Mystic Shot as well. So he runs 8 Mystic Shots and 3 Vengeances in his Caitlyn Kindred PNZ Flash Bomb control deck. You know, it's basically a mix of pings and hard removal, which is very similar to the Nora Swain. Classic Nora Swain is a mix of pings and hard removal, and so is this. So this is Malagos building a deck properly. And then of course you have your chumpers, Legion of the Severed, great chumper that has a play effect, and then you also have your 2 mana chumper, which is Ferrous Financier, essentially RNGing into some sort of win con, and then the other one I believe is just elusive Flash Bomb cycling. So whenever I see somebody running Sting Officer, that's a very interesting call. You're basically saying that I don't think people are running reactive spells right now, and he's kind of right. And also the change to the stat line is actually really relevant. It used to be a 2-1 elusive, and then you would just like pokey stick it, and it was terrible. Now that it's a 1-2 elusive, like a Nora stat line, it's slightly better. So Sting Officer is actually a better card, for sure. Then you have your sort of combo win condition, right, which is going to be all your turbo draw stuff that you typically run in a Flash Bomb deck. So turbo draw. Then you have your Fishmonger, which is your turbo draw. Fishmonger, that's your draw, and then on 6 you have Arena, and then on 2 you have more cycling power. We talked a lot about cycling power, how important it is in the Eternal format. In this case, you want the Flash Bomb card. Flash Bomb, Advanced Intel. And this is very close to exactly what he had in terms of the deck, just right off the bat. And then, yeah, I'm probably missing something very specific that isn't really jumping into my memory, but it would be pretty easy to fill in the blanks from here. When it comes to memorizing, like seeing a deck and then rebuilding it from memory, I'm usually about 37 cards deep. Just based off of, what I know should be in the deck and the way that you should build the deck. But yeah, this is good. This is very good. Advanced Intel, Ferrous Financier, High Note, Mystic Shot, Sting Officer, Caitlyn, Hexcore Foundry, Legion of the Severed, Piltover Peacemaker, Fishmonger, Kindred, and then Karina and Vengeance. Very solid package here. And it would just be a matter of like what other tech card do you want in here. It really is up to you. You could run more. You probably wouldn't run the drawing 2 cards for your opponent because that could really blow you out pretty bad. But this is strong. this is very strong in terms of the way that you want to be building your decks. Chumpers, at least enough to get by. Pings, lots of them. Turbo Wincon, Combo Condition, Vengeance, etc. And like, I might just put the third Karina in there personally, and then just 2 tech cards in terms of like what you want to be doing in this specific matchup. Splash. Yeah, that's pretty solid. It's pretty solid, and then you could really put anything in. Let's just say spells. In this case, we want to just like look at spells. Spells probably wouldn't be the Thermo, right? Oh yeah, I remember. He was a go hard deck. That's what it was. So he was go hard. So this was the exact list. So basically, you need to have a way to win with this package. So you run go hard, and then you basically try to turbo draw and to pack your bags. I remember now. So he was even more ping heavy. Like literally 3, 6, 8 mystic shots. 3 1 damage pings, so like 11 pings in this deck. That's a lot of pings. And then flash bombs also pinging things, and then just the 3 hard removals off the Vengeance that you're going to turbo draw into, and then Legion of the Severed to give Caitlyn Undying. Yeah, all good stuff. This is how you build a control deck right now in Eternal. If I saw someone run this deck, this exact list, and you know what, if you want, I'll post it in the comments, just so you guys can give it a shot, so you can feel the difference yourself. Like, I can talk forever in these videos about, like, this is the right way that a pro player who is experienced with Eternal builds a deck. And it is, you know, basically a lot of reactive spells and being very tight on the synergies and the win cons. So it's a lot of reactive spells, a lot of pings, some cycle bodies, some turbo win con, and then, but mostly just like answering everything your opponent does. Playing Kindred with 1 mana banked and then like go harding something to kill it, or playing Kindred with 2 mana banked, mystic shotting something, and then getting the free kill on something else. Like, I can see the way that this plays already. And so now that we've basically reconstructed the deck entirely from memory, we can go ahead and give this an AI game and just like see. I'll walk you through the way that you should be playing Malygos's Caitlyn deck. Caitlyn PNZ Shadow Isles Control. I'll walk you through it. Because again, I would highly recommend, if you're new to the game, to just try fighting the AI, because the AI plays everything on curve 100% of the time. That's the way that they're programmed. So if they have mana to do something, they will do it 100% of the time. So this hand already looks great. Caitlyn, Mystic Shot, Kindred. I maybe should have kept the landmark in this particular case. Still learning the deck. Sure.
Let's get crew.
So the AI will always follow up with the next on-curve play. Yep. And then, yeah, we play our Chumper here. Healing could be really good for us, so let's take the healing.
It's an awesome day for progress.
Got us covered.
Watch your toes.
Jump. Next we play Legion of the Severed onto the Caitlyn. Or we could potentially play it on the Kindred. In terms of next turn, I have, yeah, I'm going to play Caitlyn and then have like a Mystic Shot ready, I think. Okay.
We protect these woods as they protect us.
So this way we can take a defensive block with Caitlyn and have Mystic Shot up at the same
Fortune
time,
favors the bold.
which is fine.
Well, what have we here?
Yeah. Well, we can do the high note. It's the same difference.
I've got my eye on you.
Hand to the face, eat up, friend.
Sure. Just trade off here, and then the Caitlyn comes back and puts in the flash bombs, and then there's a chance that they draw the flash bomb next round. When you're learning, just play against the AI. I still play against the AI to this day, and like that's free, right? I still play against the AI to this day sometimes because they actually play optimally in terms of on curve, and there's like really good lessons to be learned from that. Uh, Interesting. I'll just play... I'm just gonna wait. Like, there's really... In this control matchup, I would wait. Okay.
You can't fight on an empty stomach.
Telling
This,
yourself
and
in?
then that, and then this dies. Then Fishmonger. This game's already over, right? Like, if this was, like, a Zero Relia or whatever, this game would already be over. We can go ahead and push damage. Okay, the AI doesn't always play optimally, because there's no creatures on the board, but it's still a great experience if you're learning. We can just cycle in this stuff. Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew. It's all just cycle power, right? And yeah, that's fine. And then when they play the Misfortune, we're going to combine Go Hard with the Mystic Shot.
Dangerous water.
Oh, that's really good for them. How many flash bombs do we have? 4? That's not enough to care about. We just play the Chumper. Atrocity, I'll take this. Song Spinner can get you a lot of stuff.
Fortune favors.
Yeah, so you want to
The
do
ocean is no place
this
for
right
you.
away, right? So you want, it's going to look like this. So you just get in the habit of cycling through your reactive plays. This literally doesn't matter. It's fine. Deathless Caitlyn, why not?
Sing 'em their doom.
All free. Like, if you want, you could take the 2 damage here, but whatever.
This was fun. Who will we chase now?
Everyone.
Like, if you're playing against aggro, you would probably preserve your life total, so... We also have so much healing. Vengeance is good. Here we go. So that's game, right? So that's kind of what you want to do when you're learning how to play a new deck. And it's also really good experience for dealing with aggro. Getting in the habit of being like, what are my optimal plays here? You saw that, like, I committed the Go Hard plus the Mystic Shot, right, on the Misfortune. The minute she came down, you just snap that. And it's not that different from playing against people. In fact, I find that people play suboptimally more often in Eternal than the AI does, because if you're the tempo deck, you have to tempo, right? You spam 1-drops, you kill the opponent's Nexus, you burn them out, you play your Blade Dances and your Snowbally cards, and you kill them from there with rally value. But if you're the reactive deck, you need to snap remove stuff. It's the only correct way to play Eternal as a format, and that's why Malagos can get like 80% win rate with his deck, is because if he sees, like, you know, a high value Snowbally champion, he's just going to be like, go hard High Note, or go hard Mystic Shot, and he's just going to commit it right off the top. And then he's going to play Caitlyn on 3, or maybe he'll play Legion of the Severed on 3 onto the Caitlyn, and the Caitlyn's deathless, and it gets more value that way. And then he slow rolls the Kindred, and then he gets his draw engine online, so he's drawing into more removal. All of this makes perfect sense to me. It's a hyper-reactive deck with a very simple and straightforward game plan and win condition. Very straightforward and simple. And he's basically capitalizing off people not knowing how to play the format or how to play the game. Very straightforward. Now let's show you how you optimally play Zero Relia. So that was the anti-tempo deck in terms of, you know, proper instruction. What is the tempo deck? What is the optimal way to play Zero Relia as, you know, a top-tier format player? And it is the same. It's the same versus AI. It's the same versus a single human being. Nothing about the way that you play it changes much, right? Like, it's basically Sparring Student, probably the Hyper Ribbon Dancer. Well, we don't have the attack token on 2, so we don't do that. Yeah, just wait. We slow rolling.
Ready for deployment.
Yeah, this is fine.
Hey, steal.
Thinking about I guess we start with the Azir. I think it's slightly better.
Really?
Sure.
Where are you? You have to get me out of here.
So this is a great example of like tempo into anti-tempo, and the kinds of things that you need to be prepared for to kind of be good at the format. Because it doesn't change much, right? Nothing about this is like changing for you.
Impress me. I'll turn the tide.
Oh, you're in for it.
You dare!
I guess I could take a block here too if I wanted, but whatever.
No.
Now we just get the Aurelia on board, right? The Aurelia is going to be going nuts. Sure.
To me!
Don't wait. No mercy for those who desecrate our home.
They will
We're going to do like a bit of an interesting play here, just to go as wide as humanly possible. Sure.
Impress me.
The order is given.
Don't waste my time.
Please, I have connections.
And like, honestly, for me, this is like more challenging than playing a human being, because people tend to play wrong. Yeah, see, like that's a great play. Now we have another Aurelia, so I wasn't too concerned. Yeah, it's 3 wide attack, and then attacking with this stuff doesn't really matter, so it's fine.
Command.
Now they're on 1 card, which is bad for them. Typically when you're on off turns, you just develop Blossoming Blade. That's wrong, but whatever.
Steady your heart. Find your...
Tell the people what you have seen.
So yeah, typically when you're the tempo deck, instead of snapping removal on your opponent's high value units, you want to be generating value very, very quickly.
Don't waste my
That's the
time.
correct way to play tempo. Sure.
So much love.
You also want to be leveraging your life total as well. That's also correct. This is pretty good value, so
Impress me.
most of his answers are going to be slow speed.
Don't waste my time. Impress me.
Yeah. So again, if you're new to the format, I highly recommend you just play some tutorial games to get a sense of the optimal ways to play tempo and the optimal ways to play anti-tempo, because the rules don't change. The rules for how to play these decks optimally do not change. If you are the aggro player, you play aggro. You play it fast, you play it hard, you generate value quickly, and then you try to kill the opponent. That's Tempo 101 at a top level range. Anti-Tempo 101 is snap removing every single threatening thing you see until the opponent presses the concede button, and that's Anti-Tempo 101. Whether it is something classic like Swain Nora, whether it is Malagos's new Caitlyn Kindred control deck, the correct answer is always just like snap removing stuff, and keeping up with the opponent's tempo and denying value with Chumpers, denying value with Gohar, denying value with Mystic Shot, High Note, Piltover Peacemaker, denying value with Caitlyn and Legion of the Severed, denying value with Kindred plus Vengeance, all this stuff, and then just drawing a bunch of cards off of Fishmonger and Hexcore Foundry. Really easy stuff. And then eventually winning by packing your bags enough times till the opponent gives up. And that's the whole deck. This is Eternal King, signing out.